Are there any other questions in the audience?
Is there something called a scientific temperament when it comes to women?
Well, I think there's certainly it's a self-selecting group by all means, and there is a certain logic to it, I believe. Anyone else want to?
I would say I resisted that idea for a really long time, but in my senior years, I'm embracing it. We do think differently than other people. We do, and it's like a time to stop apologizing.
Yeah.
We think differently.
I would just add that when I wrote the introduction to this, I added a little bit about how, and I felt a little bad because I was speaking for everybody by writing the introduction to the book, and I wasn't sure if this was true for everybody, but I wrote something about how I felt that a lot of us are born scientists. We just are. That's what we are, and that's why, maybe, I keep saying science isn't necessarily different from other fields, but I think there are certain fields that people just are, and so it makes it difficult when you have to give it up, if you do. So I think there is.
Yeah, and I would just say, I think it's true not only of science, but of many fields. I think there kind of has to be a certain level of passion for the subject matter itself. I mean, I found myself when I was overseas and at different points in times when people would say, well, you could get a job doing X, and it was like, but I wasn't looking for just a job. I was looking for something that would contribute to my participation with the field of knowledge that I was participating in and building myself. And I do have to say, building on other things that, that my husband was always supportive. We started out very on an egalitarian basis, and even though economically we became very separated, we always have tried to maintain an egalitarian idea so that, that makes a huge difference. Yeah.
Suzanne?
Just to take a different point of view, I actually think the temperaments of the women scientists I know are as diverse as the temperaments of the women artists I know, and it overlaps tremendously, and many of the women scientists are musicians or whatever, including someone else who was at the panel yesterday besides myself. And so I disagree, and I think each person is a mosaic, and then they emphasize certain parts of their own potential temperament by what they choose to do.
I love this question. Because I work with plants because I don't feel bad when I torture them. And my husband is an immunologist, and when he talks about his work, it creeps me out. But my PhD is in plant genetics. So this is something that I have totally changed my mind on as the field of genetics has advanced, because I was of the same ilk as Anne, that we're all the same, and it's the environment that is directing us into places. But now they find things are on your X chromosome and on your Y chromosome, and they really do affect not just your temperament, but your intelligence and the things that you're good at. But these distributions overlap tremendously. But that's why I think I went into a male-dominated field, is that my temperament is really more like the guys in the field. But being a mother changed that. Now, my genes didn't change, but my hormones did. And all of a sudden, I came to this aha moment that I'm sick of being one of the guys, and I want to be a woman now. And that's when a lot of my troubles began. Because that's why we need women in sciences. We need people that think in different ways. And when you think of agriculture, or when you
creativity,
think of immunology, you need to have many perspectives. And if it's just the male perspective, no matter whether they overlap with the female distribution or not, their ideas will be different. And don't think that science is unbiased. What gets researched, what gets funded is a very, very subjective decision, and we need women making those decisions as well as men.
Hear, hear. I could throw something out. Can I just? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's just a little bit related because I do manage a really big science team a lot of times, which is a lot of people with different interests. They call it herding cats. It's not simple, and sometimes you can bring things like that you learn being a mom to that, no whining on my science team, absolutely none. And I run it differently and more easily than some men who have preceded me, because my family experience has taught me how to listen and hear the diversity in the group. So you can, again, I will echo, you need different types of people in these jobs because they bring different experience that can be very valuable.
I was just going to talk about one of the challenges that I've had in changing my lifestyle to work around a family schedule. And one of the reasons that I titled my essay Having It All, Just Not All at the Same Time, is I think that if I didn't have my family, my passion for my work would result in me probably working until 3 a.m. every night. That's just the way I am. It was the way I worked on my dissertation. I get focused and into what I'm doing, and I just keep going until I drop. And when you have to pick up 2 kids at daycare at 5:30 every night and make them dinner, that really can interfere with your standard process. And so it's one of the struggles that I'm still working on, is trying to figure out, how in these little snippets of time can I still make my brain function in that kind of way that I might if I had been working on my project for 6 hours, and I'm 6 hours into my writing and I'm still going. So I don't know if you guys have found that to be a challenge as well.
And I have male colleagues who have really changed from graduate school. Now they're professors. And one at a conference the other year, one of my colleagues was saying he has totally changed the way he works. He goes into work on time, ready to go. He is focused. He doesn't fart around. And when, at 5 o'clock, he goes home. And then he is home with his children. And I think when I was dealing with the institution after the discrimination that occurred with me, I made sure they saw that what they were saying is that they will welcome women into their institution as long as they behave like men. Yeah. And it goes back to what Marla was saying. As soon as you start becoming a woman, okay, we got issues. And so it really has to be a co-solution. And the guys are changing. One thing I pointed out, too, was the male colleagues that I have, all of their women are career-driven, and they are going to maintain a career throughout the family life. And the men are going to need more of these flexible hours and flexibility from administration. And I hope and I think they will start demanding it as well, and things will change. Because certainly in my cohort, I see some very dedicated, loving, nurturing fathers who are also professors, and it is changing. So.
Okay, one last question.
Sure.
Professional. Have any of you ever cried at work?
Yes. I've had colleagues die.
Show hands.
Yeah, show hands, yeah.
Behind a closed door, but.
By a man.
Really? I've never been yelled at for that.
What is she?
Yeah.
Has anybody ever cried at work?
Who was it the other night was saying that as you get older, you stop being apologetic. And you are who you are, and people take it or leave it, and come what may. I think that was a good message.
Mm-hmm.